Why would he risk getting rejected when he can just be chilling with his friends? So since the other day, I've been intrigued by dating apps and men approaching, and the whole concept of men saying dating apps are a waste of time and women saying men don't approach. So the math ain't mathing with that one. So I got really curious, and I am hearing what men have to say. I came across Anton Daniels have a few things to say on this topic. Big up Anton. I've been with Anton since Lapif days. So let us hear what this whole conversation is about.
Last night I went out with a couple friends and we were sitting outside watching a concert, and we were just talking about how men never approach women. And I get it, it's nerve-wracking, it's uncomfortable, it could be like severe rejection, all these things, but it's frustrating when it feels like women have to do all of the work. So there was a couple guys that were clearly looking at us, and we decided to do a little experiment. So one of my friends, she went to the bathroom, and on her way back, she decided to stand like 10 feet from them. She's not going to approach them, but she's going to stand 10 feet from them all alone. And you're talking outdoors, concert. And she is just, in fact, I forgot that she was doing this experiment. And
Like, I have done this before, and me and my girlfriends have done this before, where it's like, oh, look, there's an attractive guy, go stand close to him, or walk to the bathroom. When you walk into the bathroom, walk by him. But then I can admit, I've been so awkward, y'all. I'm letting you lie. Like, if I'm doing it, I'm staring down. I'm not making eye contact. My body language is off.
Stop it. Get some help.
So I feel like, to her point, I feel like sometimes we have to be aware of how awkward we can be too. Because yeah, her friend is standing there, but what if her friend was standing there looking like a lost puppet? But let's continue.
the look on her face looked like she was lost. So I was like, hey, we're over here. But I was like, oh yeah, we're doing this experiment.
The look on her face was like she was lost, and the guys saw her with her group of friends, and they, as the young lady said, they were staring the whole night. So maybe he's not going to approach because he's like, okay, why is she moving so awkward? She know where her friends are at. They're over there. Like, or he probably assuming that, you know, she drunk. He probably don't want to approach her if she went to the restroom and don't know where she was. That's indication that she's probably drunk. But enough for me. Let's continue.
So she definitely looked approachable, almost looked like she needed help. And then she was just casually enjoying the music, even looks back at them. All the while, my other friend and I are watching, and these guys are like gawking at her, just nonstop staring at her. And she stands there for at least 10 minutes doing this dancing and within 10 feet. And not once did they approach her. Not once did they even attempt to. And she walks then by them and around to come back to us, and they are just gawking, staring at her as she walks back. So as we get up to leave for the night, we walk literally within 2 inches of them, right in front of them. And not one says a thing. Mind you, when she came back from the bathroom, she did get approached by 4 men that were like 65, because I feel like that the men of that age and genre, that they just know how to approach women. They just know, like, that's in their DNA. And somewhere along,
I wouldn't say it's because they know. I just feel like they're like, what do I have to lose? You know, they're probably just used to rejection. When they're at that age, they're probably, you know, have been married, either divorced or widowed, and they're just like, hey, I'm maybe not even approaching her to take her seriously. Her telling the story reminds me of a story once. I was out to drinks with a friend, and we were sitting there just holding a vibe. DJ was good, music was good, and we were just sitting there, me and the girl, and this guy was standing by us, and we were there for a good 2 to 3 hours, let's say, and he was standing by us the whole time. And then when we got up to leave, he was like, "Oh man, you're leaving already? I wanted to talk to you." And I was like, "Sir, we've been here for like 2 hours and you did not say a word. But okay, you can have my seat though. Like, have a good night." But it's like I am really curious to hear Anton's perspective.
On the lines, it's gotten lost. And we were sitting there observing, and there was only one girl that was really talking to a few men, and every single time she was approaching them. So what is it? Like, what do women need to do to be approachable? We thought, okay, we're sitting in a group of 3, that can be intimidating. So she went out on her own, stood 10 feet, even did a little glance at them, was standing all alone, and still nothing. Like, what do women need to do to be approachable?
This is a layered answer because she told a long story, and I think that there's several different contributing factors that then affect what's going on in the market and whether or not people are approaching women. And I don't even look at it just from a dating perspective or anything like that. I just think that it's humans in general. I mean, going out, networking, having conversations. We've changed so much as a society, and there are so many different things that go into why people are the way that they are. Number one,
I agree. I agree with that. Before he continues, I agree with that because I feel like social media has taken some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word I'm looking for, but because you communicate with most of your friends behind the screen, I feel like so many people are awkward, myself included, right? But I feel like we tend to be so awkward and don't know how to approach and don't know how to have conversation because of social media and dating apps and stuff. It's to the point where people will like I've observed like when you do get approached and the guy will be like, "Oh, do you have an Instagram?" And like for me personally, I would be like, "I don't have an Instagram, I have a phone number." Cause what the hell? Like, I'm sorry. Is it just me? But it's like you asked me for my Instagram as opposed to my like I personally, I know some people can probably disagree with that, but I personally don't give up my Instagram when you can ask for my phone number. And again, that goes back to the point to show how social media is just has overtaken our life. But let's let Anton continue to cook. As I said, I rate Anton from back in the days because he always come with some perspective that make you say, you know what? Never thought about it like that.
one, I think that the thing that we have to do first is take accountability for the fact that women have created this environment where men have to be very, very cautious about how they deal with, talk to, interact with, because we know too much. We've seen too much. We've seen too many people get accused of things. Women have basically advocated for equal, and so now they are basically men, and they show aggression. They show, all of these different factors and things that women have created as far as the environment that men have to exist in that then contribute to whether or not you're getting approached. That's number one. Number two, I believe that social media has contributed to the inability to communicate effectively in person. I tell
That's
people
what I
all the
was
time, you
saying.
need to get outside,
Yeah.
you know, talk to people, network.
Practice the skill of how to talk to people in person. Being behind the screen, it makes it so impersonal. So when you do go out in person, like you give enough awkwardness. And as I said, like I'm not, saying, "Oh, y'all awkward," because I can be awkward too. Like, y'all, I can be awkward before social media did. I know I'm awkward, right? Let me tell you, I know I'm awkward. But this is also a learning lesson for me too. That's why I'm doing these videos, because I'm genuinely curious. How can we better ourselves as human beings? I feel like social media is putting that block between, and it's like one thing to me, I will have someone on my social media and we follow each other on social media, but we don't really see each other out in person. And then when we do see each other, when we run into each other in person, we act like we don't know each other. But like for me, I always go up and say, "Hi, I have you on my Instagram," or "Hey, whatever. But it's like if the person spot me first, they won't say anything. And it's just like, I don't have nobody on my social media who I can't talk to on my personal social media who I don't talk to in person. Like everybody who I have on my personal social media, I know personally. I've spoken to you one way. It's either through a mutual friend or something. We've spoken. We've had a conversation. So to run into you in public and not say hi. Like literally, people will have people on their social media, see them in public and not say hi. It's like that to me is weird. But let Anton continue.
And they say, "Oh man, you got to get outside to just go talk to people while you outside." And I'm like, I get confused. It's like, okay, so wait a minute. Me telling you to go outside and be outside and interacting with people automatically means that you got to go and talk to them. No, I mean, they do what you, and it's like, it's a gulf. It's a huge river between you understanding that being outside and being personable and having conversations ultimately yield you the best results, not just when it comes to dating, but also opportunities, business, professional, networking, having great times in life, making more friends. Like, but people are so used to only shooting a shot on DM or spending the majority of the time in their phone. And so they haven't cultivated that part of their personality in which we were forced to, because we were forced to be outside from the time that we, you know, came out of our mother's womb, in which we couldn't really go out unless, we couldn't come back in until the street lights was on. See, it was different for us. We couldn't come back in the house. Like once you go outside, don't come back in unless you're willing to stay there. And that was the rules. And so you learned how to navigate and go through life without having to worry about somebody always babying you, or when you fail, or, oh man, you got into a confrontation. You learned those things very early and you just continue to nurture that, which then, in my opinion, has given us an advantage as people that are over 40 or that was born in the 80s and below, because we know how and we have no fear meeting people, communicating, and all of that. And there's always going to be some people that are awkward and they just didn't want to go outside. But if you take those
As I said earlier, it's a skill. It's a skill that is slowly dying amongst humans, just communicating in person, just, meeting friends in person. And one thing that I started doing for 2025 is to go outside more often, whether it be with my girls, whether it be by myself, it's to just go outside more often and have more social interaction. I remember there was a point in my life when I was working from home, so I didn't have to go outside. I was getting my groceries delivered, so I did not have to go to the grocery store. I was working out at my apartment gym, so again, didn't have to go outside. I just tracked the gym and said, okay, it's empty around this time, let me just go. And then months had passed. I remember it was like 3 months passed, and I was like, I have not had any physical human interaction, as opposed to, like, the mailman that you'll pass in the hallway, or the people that at the front desk, or if you pass somebody in the hallway, you do the fake smile and go. But I'm like, oh my gosh. And then that's when I was like, I need to change this. And that's also one of the reasons why I decided to get a job where I could, go into the office, because we get so caught up on like being alone, like we don't even realize. And because we're not working that muscle of interacting with people, it really affects us. I thought he was going to dive in more on the ladies situation and her experience, but let's see if he does.
two contributing factors alone, the fact that the environment has changed in which women are no longer approachable in the same way that they used to. And on top of that, the fact that we have a society that has now been trained to be outside of the reality and only live within this metaverse we call the internet and social media. Now that factors into it. Three, women are just gonna have to start shooting their shots. You gonna have to go for what you want, because closed mouths is not gonna get fed anymore.
Really? Okay, so Anton's solution is that women should start shooting their shots. Okay.
Guys ain't tripping off of y'all. They ain't stunting you. They ain't desperate for you. And a lot of guys got options, and more importantly, they can look, have fun, and ain't even tripping about not touching, because they also understand that, you're not really the prize also. And so I think that a lot of women overinflate the value that they have, and that they think that they can operate in a modern society, but then, you know, do what they want to do, but then still hold these traditional values, as though we don't see the difference between y'all. you know? And I don't think it has anything to do with intimidation. Maybe it does. Who knows? And those older guys that she described, I just don't think that they give a fuck. And so as a result, they just
Exactly.
say and do whatever it is that they want to do.
That exactly. That's what I said. I mean, after a certain age, old people do not care. Old people and kids will say whatever that comes to their mind. They'll do whatever they want to do. About shooting your shot. I mean, let's continue. Let's.
Kind of remind me, of older grandparents and stuff. It's like the older you get, the less you care because you just don't.
Exactly.
You gonna leave it all on the flow, and we just gonna have fun, and we gonna live every day like our last because we value, what life really means and what life is. And so, even me myself, like the older I get, the less I give a fuck, the more I lean more into the things that means the most to me,
Same.
and I just go out and I have fun. I don't even vlog anymore. Outside. I've stopped probably within a week or 2 weeks ago, and I don't even plan on vlogging anymore. Let me not say I'm never gonna do it again, but I don't even vlog anymore because what I do when giving my thoughts on social media, I actually think that I've done enough to substantiate who I am and what my personality is and what my real life is like, and so I don't feel the need to, and so I like to be immersed in what's going on in popular culture in real life. In real life. I don't bring my camera out. I don't do none of that. I just have a good time. I went to SneakerCon yesterday. I interacted with people and I left it on the flow. You know what I'm saying? So my point is I think that there are so many different factors that contribute to the fact that men are no longer feeling compelled in order to go up to you, train not to. You've created an environment that make it a little bit more hostile to approach you. And we're different. It's a different space, a different time. People prefer to send DMs because they feel like it's also less rejection. And also you just might not be that girl. Ain't nobody tripping off you. You know what I'm saying?
That
But,
part, that part. You might just not be that girl because I feel like a lot of us think that we're more attractive than we actually are, and we're like, oh yeah, everybody's supposed to be checking for me because I'm the ish. Whereas like, sis, maybe I mean maybe you're not, and it's no shade or anything like that. It's to just be realistic. But when he said that women should start shooting their shot, don't y'all think that when she was standing next to them, that was kind of shooting her shot? I'm not necessarily shooting her shot, but like sending choosing signals by standing next to them. What do y'all think about women shooting their shot? Because for me, I would not see. I mean, okay, let me just say it depends. It depends because I am social, I'm talkative, and if I say we have something in common, I'm a talk. But I'm not gonna necessarily talk to shoot my shot. Like I'll approach a group of guys to say something, but it's not to shoot my shot. Let's say, for example, if I'm out and about and I see a group of guys and one of them have on a gator shirt, knowing that I'm also a gator, I am going to go up and knowing that we live in a city where it's very rarely you will see a fellow gator, I'm going to be like, hey, you went to UF, and we're going to talk about it. But it's not necessarily to go shoot my shot and be like, hey, I see you standing. If I am out and about and I see a guy that I find attractive, I will give choosing signals. But then again, as I said earlier, I think my choosing signals is probably a lot more awkward than I have it in my mind. So even going back to that young lady's point, her friend was standing next to them, but her friend was probably way awkward, like super awkward. As she said, she was looking lost. So maybe the group of guys were like, sis, like your friends are literally right there. If her friend could see her, maybe she could see them too. And but what are y'all thoughts about women shooting their shots? Like, I don't know.
people can go out and they can trip and it ain't even tripping off of you. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you or anything is wrong with them. They just don't care anymore. People are less likely to do things that is not meaningful to them, or why should they risk rejection when the alternative is just having fun and going home and not even thinking twice about you tomorrow? But I'm curious as to what y'all think. Let me know.
Ooh, that is a good point right there. Why would you risk rejection to ruin your whole night when the alternative is let me just sit here and vibe with my friends? That is a good point right there. Why would he risk getting rejected when he can just be chilling with his friends? Never thought about. You see, this is why I rate Anton. As I said earlier, he always saying something to make you say, I never thought about it like that. But y'all, leave your thoughts in the comments. Shout out to Anton Daniels. This full video, his video will be linked in the description box. Yeah, as I said, I am curious about this whole dating and, So leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.